Greetings, mighty companions. Anna Kujawa here, and we are doing a Course in Miracles again. We're doing it again. And we always start our sessions off with integration meditation. So we're going to do that for about, 5 to 10 minutes or so. Probably closer to 10 minutes. So for about 10 minutes, we are going to tune within. We're going to go within, tune in, and open our awareness up. We're going to draw our awareness inward and upward. So go ahead and, if you haven't already, close your eyes and take a breath. There we go. And just become reacquainted with your breath. Become reacquainted with your own heartbeat. We are tuning our awareness inward and upward. Going inward and upward. Feeling for the spirit of the present. Feeling for the presence in the present. Resting our minds, our bodies, our spirits deeply, deeply into the moment. Allowing your mind and your emotions and your body to really sink down into the peace and the quiet of the present moment. I rest in God. I rest in the truth of my being. I rest in the spirit in which everything is already done. Everything is already complete. Nothing left to do. Nothing left to judge. Nothing left to analyze. And so we just rest in the truth and the spirit that we share. I rest. I rest in God. And another way that we rest ourselves, body, mind, and spirit, is we say to ourselves and we affirm, I let all things be exactly as they are. I let all things be exactly as they are. be exactly as they are. Resting even more deeply. And breathe. When your mind wanders, just breathe. All right. And when you're ready, just bring your awareness back to the room and back to the body. It's all right. We're okay. Thank you. All right, guys. Come on. Settle down. Yes. She cannot greet anyone without a shoe in her mouth. It's physically impossible. Welcome, guys, watching on Facebook. Welcome. Lovely to see you. Thank you for joining this healing circle. And so we are going to be doing a little bit of miracle roulette. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get to my one. Chapter 31, Section 5. Okay? So here we go. All right. What is the name of that section?
Self-concept versus self.
Oh, great.
One of my favorite sections.
Nothing like a little light Course in Miracles. All right.
Now you do this at May 21st, 2018.
May 21st, 2018.
Oh, I have that written in here. I do too.
All right. So you guys, we're going to be in the section called Self-Concept versus Self, and it's in chapter 31, section 5, and I am in the blue covered edition for this class. All right. So we're going to be talking about the self that you were created with, that you were created by infinite love energy with, versus the self that you have learned. So you got two selves. So one of our selves we don't really know about. Okay, that's the self that we were created with. So we have a self that is brilliant and powerful and beautiful and eternal and immortal, that we were created with, that we came in with, that we were created with. But there's also a self that we think is us, our imposter self, a self that we learn to be. So we only learned to be afraid. We only learned to feel ashamed. We only learned that we were limited. We only learned that we're a body that dies. We only learned that there's something wrong with us. We only learned that we were flawed. We only learned that we are guilty. Okay? So we're going to be talking about the self that we learned and the self that we are. The self that we don't have to earn. The self that we were created with. And so we're going to learn about these two selves so that we can learn how to identify which is our real self and which is our learned self. What's our real self and what's our fake self. So when we experience our mask, our imposter self, when we experience our self-concepts, then we can go, oh, that's just me. That's just what I learned about myself. That's just what I learned about myself. I only learned that I'm a body. I only learned that I'm guilty. I only learned that there's something wrong with me. But that's not who I really am. Okay? So when you learn the difference between your real self and your learned self, that when you see your learned self, you can go, that's not me, and then you put your attention back to your real self. Okay? But if you don't know the difference between your real self and your learned self, then you're just going to suffer the pain and the limit and the guilt and the shame that your learned self learned to feel. Okay? So we'll learn how to tell the difference so that we can say no to one and embrace and celebrate our real self. Does that sound good? Okay. So that's what we're going to be doing. So let's turn this down a little bit. Everybody see the section? All right, here we go. It says, the learning of the world is built upon a concept of the self adjusted to the world's reality. So the learned self is just one that's like, oh, the world needs me, the world tells me I should be this. Okay, I'll adjust myself. Oh, the world tells me I should be this. I'm going to adjust myself to this. Oh, my parents told me I should be this. I'm going to adjust myself to this. Oh, my job tells me I should be this, so I'm going to adjust myself. So your fake self is the adjustable self. That's the stuff you're always tweaking and adjusting. Oh, you want me to be this? Oh, I'll be that. Oh, you want me to be that? Oh, I'll be this. Oh, the world says I need to be this? Oh, I'll be that. So your fake self is the adjustable self. Okay, you've heard of adjustable belts and adjustable this and adjustable that. Your fake self is the adjustable one. You're always adjusting. I gotta adjust. Now I can't just be myself. I got to adjust myself. Okay? So now, and your adjustable self that you're adjusting fits the world's reality well. For this is an image that suits a world of shadows and illusions. So your self-concepts, your fake self, fits the world well. Okay? Do you hear the drums in the distance? All right. Okay, beautiful. Okay. So we've got the flutes and we got the drums. All right. So your made up self has been adjusted to fit a world of shadows and illusions. So the self that we identify with right now is not our real self. It's just the one that we're like, oh, this one fits the world of lack, limitation, guilt, and shadows. Okay? So the self you experience that feels guilty, that feels like there's something wrong with it, that's just the self that's been built to fit the world. Okay? That's not who we really are. All right. Then it says, your fake self, your self-concept, walks at home here in the world of guilt and shame and fear. Your self-built self walks at home where what it sees is one with it. Okay? So this is a self that's just right for a world of limitation and lack and guilt and fear. Okay? It just walks right at home in this world. And it says, the building of a concept of the self is what the learning of the world is for. Wow. This is the world's purpose. What is the world's purpose? The world's purpose is that you come without a self, you're a tabula rasa, you're a blank self, and that you make up a self as you go along. That's the world's purpose. You're born here blank, no soul, no spirit, no, just blank, and that you make one as you go. Okay? So that you don't have, before you were born, you didn't have a self. Before you were born, you were nothing. Before you were born, you were a blank slate, says the world. Okay? And that the world also tells us that then we will write upon you what you are. And that's the purpose of all the world's learning, is that you believe that you didn't have a self before your body. And that you are whatever your world tells you that you are. You are whatever your world tells you that you are. That's what the world wants to teach us. You are what we teach you you are. And what the first thing we teach you that you are is you're just a body, and you didn't even have a self before you had a body. Okay? So the first thing it teaches you is you're a body. Okay? Then it says, and by the time you reach so-called maturity, you have perfected yourself. What is a perfected self according to the world? That means you have built a self that can meet the world on equal terms, which means what? At one with the world's demands. So what is all the learning of the world for? That you develop a self that when the world says do this, get that, jump this high, be that, do this, you say, yes, sir, how high? Okay, that is what the world, all the learning of the world is for. That we build a self that can meet its demands. Wow. Dang, that's what, have you noticed that's kind of what the world's educational systems is about? We'll tell you what you are. This is what reality is. This is what you are. This is who you are. This is what you should want. Here's your limitations. Here's what you should feel bad about. Here's all you can expect to hope for. Here's your limitations. That's what you are. And oh, by the way, you're here to meet our demands. Woo-wee. You know, the way we kind of are sometimes with our kids, like, hello, children, you're here to meet my expectations. The way we are kind of with our relationships, hi, I love you, you're here to meet my demands, right? And a person is considered mature when they can meet the world on the world's own demands. Okay, world, you say I got to get a job and make some money and do something. Okay, I can do it now. I can do it, right? That's the whole purpose of all the learning in the world. Wow. So that you basically be the world's slave. Wow-wee. Now, if you don't want to just be another ego drone, if you don't want to just be another ego worker working to build the wall a little bit thicker and a little bit higher, right? If you don't want to just be an ego world slave, you know, doing whatever the ego tells you should be doing, then what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to find some learning that didn't come from the world. You're going to have to go find your own learning. Go find some learning that the world doesn't offer, okay? So there is some ideas, there are truths, there are learning, there are paths that didn't come from the world. So you don't want to be learning the world's teachings anymore, right? We want to be like, I want to learn something else. I want to learn something else because I don't want to just be another ego drone, okay? So if you want to be your true self, your real self, not just what you learned you should be, then you're going to have to find something besides the world's learnings, okay? So congratulations, here you are in A Course in Miracles class, learning something besides what the world teaches. Whew, Chloe. Dang. Hey, would you be willing to open a window right there? I think we need some circulation in here. Thank you for sharing, Chloe. Wow-wee. Mercy, Chloe. All right, thank you. Awesome. Thank God Chloe's in here, because if it was one of us, then, you know, we're all let off the hook. Just do what I do. I always blame it on Chloe.
Who among us is not playing the dog?
What'd you say?
Those of us who don't have a dog.
Yeah, so it's there, yes.
That's where kids come in handy.
That's right. Oh, you blame it on your kids. All right. And then if you don't have kids or a dog, then you have to blame it on your special partner. So, all right. Yes. And Bridget says, yes, I need to learn something else. And Tony Lucky Winston says, ego world slave. Yes, exactly. All right. Okay, so now listen, if you are living a life that does not fill you, that you are not ecstatic with, where you wake up every day and you're like, I love my life. Oh my God, I love my life. If you are not living a life where you are ecstatic about the life you are living and where you are feeling ecstatic about yourself, I'm so in love with myself. I'm sure y'all all woke up like that this morning, right? I'm so in love with myself. And you looked in the mirror and you're like, oh my God, I'm so in love with you. Okay, now if you didn't wake up like that this morning, feeling like that about your life or about yourself, ecstatically in love with yourself or with your life, then just know that that's because of what you have learned. It's because you were learning against your nature. You've been trying to learn to be something and somebody that you are not. Because if you were being the somebody and the something that you were created to be, then you would be experiencing the total satisfaction of reality. The Course in Miracles describes reality as the completely satisfying nature of reality. What is reality? The Course in Miracles describes reality as the wholly satisfying nature of reality. And so, if you are not experiencing the wholly satisfying nature of yourself and your life, then you are not experiencing your real self and your real life. Which means there's nothing wrong with you. You're not flawed. You're not a failure. There's not something wrong with you. You just learned against your nature. That's all that could be occurring if you're not in love with your life or not in love with yourself. You've just learned against your nature. In other words, your nature was thus, but then you learned from the world's teaching, from your schools and from your parents and from your culture, to be that you are something else. What's the world been teaching us? The world's been saying, don't just follow your heart. Don't just follow your bliss. You need to become a good worker. You need to become a good person. You need to become a good husband or a good wife or a good whatever or a good parent. The world never taught us, whatever you are, whatever makes you happy, whatever fills you with so much joy that all you want to do is share, share, give, give, give. The world doesn't teach you to follow that. Okay? The world's teaching does not say, what makes you happy? Be that, follow that. We didn't hear as children, what I want you to be when you grow up, little Johnny, is happy. Little Susie, here's what I want for you. I want you to be happy. So whatever makes you happy and makes you want to be loving and helpful to other people, that's what I want you to do and be. Okay? Now, how many people in the room heard that from their parents? All right. I mean, maybe you. Maybe you, you and you. Right. But if you're experiencing anything besides ecstasy, total satisfaction, happiness, fulfillment, it's only because you've been trying to learn to be something that's going against your nature, who you really are. Now, how do you identify your real nature? Your real nature is your essential being, and your essential being can be found or identified by simply your happiness. Happiness. What's that? Isn't that funny? Your first thought is like, what do you mean happiness? We're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Well, your happiness is something that when you are doing it, you lose track of time and space. And you would be doing it whether you were being paid to do it. That is where you'll find your happiness, you know. So my happiness is something that I experience when right? And A Course in Miracles is saying ultimately that your happiness, happiness comes from knowing who and what you are. So first it starts like this. You know, when I'm doing A Course in Miracles, I could absolutely lose track of time and space. I don't even know what time it is. I could do it for days and days, and I pay to do it, okay? It starts with, what is it that when I'm doing it, I lose track of time and space, and nobody has to tell me to do it. I would pay to do it myself, okay? It starts with that. Then it goes deeper than that. It goes deeper than that into, you know, when you know the truth about yourself, like in our last Monday class, it was saying when you look within and you see who you really are and you see a blazing freaking light, ultimately that's what happiness comes from. When you experience who you are, when you see the light you are, when you experience your guiltlessness, your sinlessness, your unlimitedness, your immortality, your freaking gloriousness, you will experience, that's ultimate happiness, okay? But how do you access that? First, you access it from what is it that you do when you're doing it, you feel so freaking good that nobody has to tell you to do it. Okay, so the Course in Miracles says that your will is in your nature. So your will, meaning what is it for you to do? What is God's plan for you? Your will. You know, you heard of the will of God? You know, your will, your plan, God's plan for you. It's in your nature. And so if you really want to know what God's plan for you is, what love's plan for you is, all you have to do is go, well, what's natural for me? Really natural. What's really natural for me? Okay? But we've learned not to ask that question. We've learned you are guilty. You can't just ask. You can't just say, what's in my nature? Let me do and be that. You can't do that. You're too guilty for that. You know you're going to have to work, right? You know, you have to, to do that, we have to be able, ready and willing to move through a bunch of layers of guilt. I can't just do what makes me happy, right? I can't just follow my heart, right? I can't just follow my bliss, right? You know, well, that's what we learned. We learned that you can only be safe, and you can only experience love, and you can only experience security if you live by some rules. You do some things that everybody has agreed here in the world that you should be doing. Right? That's what we've learned. And what have we learned about people who just follow their heart all the time? They are selfish. Just in case you forgot. You can't just do that. You know, you can't just be yourself. We've learned that you can't be safe, you can't be loved, you can't be secure unless you sacrifice who and what you are. You can't just be yourself and do what makes you happy and make a living. You can't just be yourself and be who you are and have somebody want to be in a relationship with you. Everybody knows that. Well, that's what the world's been teaching us since we were born. You know, that in order to be safe, in order to be secure, in order to be loved, you got to do the opposite of what you are naturally and who you are naturally. That's what all the learning of the world is for. You know, whereas the truth is the opposite, as always. The truth is the opposite. And so the truth always says, no, you are sustained by the love of God. In other words, you are sustained by being what you are. And the more that you be what you are, the more that you live by what you are, the more that you accept who you are, and the more you live by who and what you are, the more abundance that you experience, the more love that you experience, the more fun that you experience, the more safety that you experience. Okay, now, does the world teach us that? When you went to grade school, did you learn that? When you went to high school, did you learn that? When you went to trade school, did you learn that? Anybody? Okay, no. The only place we are hearing that these days is A Course in Miracles. It's the only place I ever heard that taught me that. You know, the world's teaching says no, you only experience safety, love, protection if you don't be your natural self. Okay? Course in Miracles is teaching us the more you find out who and what you were created to be by love, and the more you embody that, and the more you live by that, and the more you try to experience that as a way of life, that's when you experience the love you want. That's when you experience the security that you desire and that you are entitled to. That's when you experience the radiant health that you want and that you are entitled to. So A Course in Miracles is telling us the truth, which is the exact opposite of the learning of the world. Okay? Now, to get to the learning of this, A Course in Miracles, which says you are as love created you. You remain as love created you. Brilliant, powerful, guiltless, sinless, creative, genius, brilliant, powerful, loving, lovable. To get to that and to live your life according to that, you have to make it through a bunch of the layers. The Course calls them layers of clouds. Layers of clouds. There's a bunch of layers of clouds you got to move through to get to this. Oh, wow, I was created brilliant. I am naturally brilliant. I'm naturally creative. I'm naturally a genius. Okay? In other words, you got to get through some layers of clouds, and the layers of cloud is the learning of the world, and the layers of the clouds is guilt. And guilt says this: you know you don't deserve to just be who you are and be totally successful and supported and loved. You know you don't deserve that. Right? That's what guilt says. And that's what the learning of the world says. You can't just be who and what you naturally are and be loved and be supported and be free and be rich and be happy and have fun. Okay? That's the learning of the world. Anybody here down for some opposite of the world learning tonight? All right, okay. That's what I want. That's what I'm going for. I want to remember who and what I am as created by love. And I want to live a life from that, from my acceptance. I want to demonstrate the truth. I want my life to be a demonstration that I can be myself, my innocent, loving, lovable, brilliant, innocent, natural self, and have whatever I need to be here in a freaking body. That's what I want to learn, and that's what I want my life to be a demonstration of. That I can just be myself, whatever that is. And A Course in Miracles says, don't worry. Your natural self is not something evil. Don't worry. Your natural self is not something that wants to go out and hurt other people or take from other people. You know, that's what the world teaches you. You know, oh, you want to get to your core self? Well, let me tell you, it's evil. You know, if you didn't have guilt on you and you didn't have limits on you and we didn't have laws on you, you'd go out, you'd be ravaging and plotting and pillaging and raping and stealing and killing. That's what the learning of the world tells you. If you didn't have laws and everybody could just be themselves and there were no laws, then everybody would just go run amok. That's not true. The Course in Miracles is saying that your real self is only love. Your real self is an innocent, loving, lovable child of God who only wants to love and play and create. So don't worry that if you go through the learning of the world, if you start going through the heavy clouds of the world's learning, don't worry that when you go through there, that you'll become some lawless, psychopath. No, don't worry about that, because that's your nature as created by God is only love. It's only loving. Okay? It only wants to love. All right. Any questions or comments about what we're hearing? Isn't it good to hear, even if we totally don't believe it? Isn't it more positive and loving and hopeful? Yes, dear. Speak.
I have this feeling that if we all really followed our bliss, there would be only trade on the planet.
Only what?
Only trade on the planet.
Trade?
Who would go to work? Who in their right mind
So
would
thank
go to
you.
work for a company?
Thank you for saying that. So I hear you saying that if we only followed our happiness, then there would be no trade. Is that what you said?
No, I'm saying
There'd be no.
Who would go to work?
Oh, nobody would go to work. Right.
Why
Exactly.
would you want to go and work for
Yes.
someone else who's going to tell you what to do all day?
Exactly. You are right. Nobody would go to work for sacrifice. But if everybody was following their heart, they would be creating of their abundance. They would be creating, they would be giving of whatever is their joy.
Hence why I was saying there would be trade.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
You would trade.
You're exactly right. There would be
no money.
Exactly. That's exactly right. There would be
completely
no
different
need
planet.
for money because, everything, when you are happy, notice that when you're happy, you're not just sitting on the couch watching TV, eating bonbons. When you're really happy, you are being creative. You're like, ooh, I want to make something, and I want to do something else. And when you're happy, when you are happy, you want to share.
You're communing.
Yes, you want to join, you want to give, you want to share. When you are ecstatic and bliss, do you want to be in the house by yourself usually? No, you're like, come on, let me create something to share. Happiness is an experience of profound, overflowing abundance. And when you know who and what you are like a fountain that is overflowing with abundance. And you just can't wait to share. And when everybody is like that, well, that's the opposite of lack.
Where's that town?
Where's that town? Yes, exactly. Well, that town begins in town meetings like this one. So thanks. So thank you on behalf of the planet who is also asking the same question.
We have a false belief about the starving artist, and our belief keeps
Yes,
that
we do.
energy in place. And creative people think that, they have to sacrifice and suffer and,
Yes,
that they can't just go out and do what they want to do.
that's exactly right.
But it's that false belief.
Yes, that's right. That false learning.
Yeah.
The learning of the world. Yes, Jerry, that's exactly right. We have that false learning called the starving artist. We also have the false learning called the martyr saint. Remember that one? You know, the one that goes, oh, in order to, you know, be about saving the world or be about helping the planet, I have to be a martyr, right? The martyr saint, okay? If I was going to take my place among the saviors of the world, you know, then that means that I need to be the martyr, okay? Same thing as the starving artist. If I'm going to be true to my heart, my creative heart, then, you know, I'm going to have to sacrifice, I'm going to have to starve, and so will my children, you know. So, you know, I can't be an artist, I can't be true to my bliss because I have children. And the world taught us that unless you go out and sacrifice, do something that you don't want to do for somebody who doesn't really need it and doesn't appreciate it, then you will starve and so will your children. And that's exactly what the world has taught us from the beginning and still wants us to believe. And that learning goes way deep. That learning takes a while to unlearn. That's why one of my favorite workbook lessons in the workbook is, I am sustained by the love of God. That workbook lesson is reminding us over and over and over, you're not sustained for real by sacrifice. You're not sustained by doing something that doesn't make you happy for somebody who doesn't appreciate it. That's not really, maybe it gives you some money, but it doesn't sustain you. It doesn't sustain you. It's a little bit of money that lasts a little time. But what you receive from the universe when you align yourself with the universal purpose, what's the universal purpose? That you know who you are. Know thyself. What's God's plan for you? What does God want for all of us? That we know who we are. Why? Because the Course says when you know who you are as a child of an infinitely loving spirit parent, when you know who you are, you will accept your inheritance. And there is no lack in your inheritance. That's why it says, so basically, I'm sustained for real in the most abundant way by knowing who I am. I am the child of an unconditionally loving and wealthy spirit parent. That's God's plan for us. That's love's plan for our happiness. That's also love's plan for our abundance. And our abundance and our happiness are one. You know, we learned from the world that your abundance and your sacrifice are one. You want to have something, you better be ready to give up. You want some love, you better be ready to give up something. You want to have some money, you better be ready to give up something and do something you don't want to do. That's the learning of the world. So the Course in Miracles is saying, no, you are sustained in a real and lasting sense in what you really need by knowing who and what you are. Only when you know you are a beloved child of a wealthy spirit parent will you say, okay, I accept my inheritance. So, maybe we should do that sometime.
How about now?
How about now? How about now? All right. Beautiful. Awesome. All right. Questions or comments before we move on to the middle of paragraph 1? Yes.
I think it comes back to doing what you love in your job, in your life.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
I used to have people say, well, when do you think you're going to retire? I didn't want to retire.
Exactly.
Even though I was getting older, I loved what I did, and that was, something, if you love what you do, you're happy.
Right.
And
Exactly.
these people, well, I can't quit because of this and this and this. They can never. that's a big part of it, is we're taught to, it's
Yes.
supposed to be rewarding financially. Well, it was, it just came on and you expected. It just comes along if you like what you're doing, I think.
That's right. And we weren't taught, hey, listen, align your purpose, follow your heart, align your purpose for the good of all. And the universe will provide the opportunities, the connections, the contacts, the supply, whatever you need. You know, we weren't taught that.
And I think too, you hear a lot of people always say, I can't wait to quit, I can't wait to retire.
Mm-hmm.
And do what, I mean, yes, there's plenty of things to do, but I think it's important that you not think 10 years down the road to when can I quit something I don't like.
Right, exactly. And really, it starts with this. What makes me happy? What is it that when I'm thinking it, or what is it that when I'm doing it, I lose track of time and space, and no one has to tell me to do it, and I would do it even if I'm not being paid to do it? What is that? What are those thoughts? What are those things? What is it? You know, start with that. And then from there, then you will see that the universe supports happiness. Okay? Happiness is the best investment that you could make in your abundance, for now, for your future, for your world. So here's the truth. The universe is nothing but abundance. There's no lack in the universe as love created it. None. Just because the world taught us that there's lack here and lack is real, lack is real, lack is real, lack is solid, lack is real like death and taxes, to lack, okay? So the world is teaching us that lack is real. Okay, the universe is the opposite of lack. There's no limitation, no lack. It's infinite potential, infinite energy, right? And so the universe that is infinite potential, infinite supply, supports happiness. So wherever there is happiness, the universe flows that way. The universe supports happiness. Why is it that the universe supports happiness? Because happiness is the will of the source of creation. Happiness is the will of creation. Okay? What is creation? What is the source of creation? What is God? It's love. What is love? It's also happiness. So you could also say happiness produces abundance. Okay? So the energy of the universe, where does it flow into? Happiness. So what gets supported by the universe? Happiness. So when you are experiencing and expressing soul happiness, now you are experiencing the support of the universe. Things go your way. The Course says, then you will experience life as if you're being carried down a quiet path in summer. Then you experience life as if you're being carried down a quiet path in summer. Beautiful. That's what it means to say, I am sustained by the love of God. That's what that means. So in other words, I'm sustained by my own soul happiness. I'm sustained by my own happiness. I learned that I was only sustained by my sacrifice, but this is not true. You know, I sacrificed my happiness so that I could have some something, right? And then was I sustained? No. I was dissatisfied. I was unfulfilled. That meant I still felt empty. I still felt like I didn't have enough, no matter how much money I had in the bank. No matter how much of this I had and however much of that I had. I still felt like I didn't have enough, and I still felt like I wasn't enough. So I wasn't sustained by the sacrifice that I was making. But when I am true to my soul happiness, my soul joy, however I experience that, then that's when I experience the real support from the universe. That's when I experience an abundance and a supply that comes and comes and comes as much as I need it, and stays as long as I need it, and comes in exactly the form that I need it, and sticks around as long as I need it. And then when I don't need it anymore, it goes off and comes in a different form. Why? Because I chose to do what? Know myself. Because I chose to learn better than I learned from the world. I chose to learn anew. I chose to learn something that was the opposite of what I learned as a kid and in the world. I chose to learn, who am I? You know, the learning of the world is like, oh, I'm going to tell you what you are. But we chose to learn what we really are. And that's the learning that really does support us on all the levels of need we think we have. Wow. So we didn't learn, know thyself and you'll have it all. That's right. I did not learn that in grade school, and I did not learn that in high school, and I did not learn that in college, and I did not learn that in trade school. Know thyself and you have it all. Right? Okay. Follow your heart. You know, what makes your heart sing with joy? Now, if you think that that what makes your heart sing with joy is something that takes from others or includes hurting others, then that's not your heart. That's just your ego that you're confusing with your heart. Your heart is only love. Your heart is only loving. All your heart wants to do is love and love and love some more, and love like this and love like that and love like that. That's what makes a heart happy.
So would it be fair to add to last week's lesson, love created me like itself,
yes,
along with all the other things, that examples that it gave, that happiness created me like itself?
Yes, happiness created me like itself. Yes, you can totally add that in to last week's session. Yes, happiness created me happy. Abundance created me abundant. Right. So, and then, so know thyself. I know what I am. I'm a beloved child of a loving and spirit parent, and I accept my inheritance. Okay? That's the essence of happiness, knowing what you are. Now, like we were saying earlier, maybe you access that through a doing of something that you enjoy, right? Like there are lots of things that I do that I enjoy that are an access point for me to remember who I am, okay? So like being in nature is an access point. It's not being in nature that makes me happy, but when I'm in nature, it helps me to make contact and remember what I am as created by love. So maybe I'll start by being in nature, and then from there I go deeper into what is it about being in nature that feels good? What is it about that that helps me to remember what I am? Right? All right. So we've talked about the learning of the world, and now we're talking about your natural native self, the self that doesn't need to be taught, the self that doesn't need to be taught anything, okay? Your natural self. So we got yourself and your self-concept, and that's what this section is talking about. All right. So then it says, so we are on paragraph 2. It says, a concept of yourself is made by you. So a self-concept is made by you. The concept of yourself bears no likeness to you at all. So this self that I made up, no resemblance to me. I wonder what I really look like. This bears no resemblance to me. And then last session we heard that if you really saw yourself, you would see a blazing light. And for sure, a blazing light bears no resemblance to this body. Okay? So who you really are bears no resemblance to the self-concept that you made up of yourself.
Wow.
Okay? Like, for instance, my self-concept, I'm a body, I'm a female body, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a mate, I'm a da-da-da, I'm a lover, I'm a this, I'm a da, I'm an American, I'm white, I'm whatever. Okay? That's my self-concept. Got it? Everything that you think you are besides love. Everything you think you are besides light, that's your self-concept. Okay? And it bears no resemblance to who you are. So stop tripping about this. It ain't you. Don't worry if you're not wearing the right outfit and it doesn't match. Something I so wish I could communicate to my teenage daughter, who thinks that if she has a stain on her shirt going to school, she's going to die. You know, that's not who you are. Okay? So we don't need to be stressing so much about this. It doesn't even bear any resemblance to who we really are. So we don't need to be tripping so hard and wasting so much time trying to better this. Wow, that's a big waste of time. We could just save ourselves some time and go, I am as God created me. I am as light created me. I am as happiness created me. I'd like to experience that today. Okay? So it says that your self-concept is an idol. It's an idol that you made to take the place of your reality as a child of God. Now, the concept of the self that the world is teaching is not the thing that it appears to be. So what's the world trying to teach us? It's trying to teach you a concept of yourself. I want to teach you a concept of yourself. I want to teach you that you are something, okay? Are you paying attention? You should take notes. I want to teach you what you are, boys and girls. Take out your pens and paper. We will be having a test, says the world. The world's trying to teach us a concept of what we are, okay? But the concept, the self it's trying to teach us is not what it appears to be, okay? It's not what it appears to be. It says, because the self the world is trying to teach you that you are, that self is made to serve two purposes, and only one of which the mind can recognize. And then it says, the first purpose of the self the world is trying to teach you. So the world's trying to teach you that you're something. The first purpose, the first reason it's trying to teach you that you are something is what? It's the first presents the face of innocence, which is the aspect acted on, the victim. So first thing the world's trying to teach you is you're a victim. Okay? That's the first thing. I mean, it's the first purpose. Okay, the world's trying to teach you a self. This is what you are. The first part of it, you're a victim. Got it? All right. That's the first thing the world wants to teach us. You're a victim. You are acted upon. Got it? You're a victim. And we play that out great. We've got it, but by the time we're 5, we got it down. By the time we're 5 years old, we got the whole victim self-concept down pat. Okay? That's where the tantrums come in. All right. Then it says, so it says, first thing you are is you are a victim. And it says, here's your face of innocence that your victim self wears. And it says, and it is this face, the face of innocence that the victim wears, that smiles and charms and even seems to love. This self-concept of the victim wearing the face of innocence, oh, look at me, poor me, the victim. This victim self-concept searches for companions, and this victim self-concept looks at times, only at times, with pity on the suffering, only at times, and sometimes our victim self-concept offers solace to people who are suffering, but only sometimes, okay? And this concept of ourself as the acted on helpless victim believes that it is good within an evil world. Oh, well, isn't that special? Okay, so the first thing that the ego wants to teach you is that you're a victim. Now, and every good self-respecting victim needs a mask to wear. Okay, and what is the mask? It's called the face of innocence. I am good in an evil world. I would never be mean to somebody or attack somebody unless they had done it to me first. I'm a good person in an evil world. I even look with pity on the suffering sometimes. I even give a few dollars to homeless people sometimes. I am a good person in an evil world. I am only acted upon. I never make the first attack. I'm a nice person who the world is so mean to. See my tears? That's the face of innocence that the victim self-concept wears. All right, let's just take a breath on that one, shall we? This is the first part of what the world, remember it says the world is trying to teach us who and what we are. It's trying to give us a self. The world's like, you didn't have a self before you were born. We're going to give you a self, okay? Are you ready? We're going to give you a self. First part of the self we're going to give you is you're a victim. But you're a helpless victim. You never act out first. You never do anything yourself. You are only acted upon. You're a helpless victim. And you are a good person in an evil world. You know, and how do we know that you're a good person? Well, sometimes you look with pity on the suffering. That's how we know you're good. That's how I know I'm good. Sometimes I look with pity on the suffering. Sometimes I offer help to people who are suffering. That's what makes me good in an evil world. But that's what the world's trying to teach us. Okay, anybody recognize that? Okay, listen, anytime we are upset, anytime that we are upset, it's usually because, look what's happening to me. The Course in Miracles says you can't be angry and know that you are responsible for your experience. Isn't that crazy? I remember hearing like, oh no. The Course says anger and projection are one. So it's radical. Every time you're experiencing anger, it's because you are believing that that self-concept the world taught you about being the helpless victim is you. You know, the truth is that if you knew how powerful your thoughts were, if you knew that you had no idle thoughts and that every thought of yours produces form at some level, you wouldn't be surprised by anything that occurred. You wouldn't be like, oh, I can't believe that. Look what they did to me. If you knew that all your thoughts were creative, when something you didn't like happened, you'd be like, well, that's what I get for having grievances. That's what I've asked for when I had those angry, unloving, judgmental, critical thoughts of them. Of course, I'm going to be experiencing judgment on myself. If you knew that you have no idle thoughts and that all your thoughts produce form at some level, then you wouldn't be angry when something occurred you didn't like. You'd be like, well, you know, that's the price of all those judgments I've been doing, and I don't want to pay that price anymore, so I'm going to stop judging. That's what you would do. Okay? So the anger lets us know that we still believe that the self-concept that the world taught us about ourselves is who we are. A powerless, helpless victim that's only acted upon. I didn't have a real self until I was born, and then the world impressed upon me what I am. I didn't have a self before that. Okay? All right. So, and this victim self, it doesn't go around, this victim self is so unreal and so ugly that it needs a mask. You know what I mean? It'd be terrible for me. It'd be embarrassing for me to go just to be pure victim. Oh, look what's happening to me. No, it happened to me. Look what happened to me. Okay. So the Course says that the victim self concept has to have a mask that's wet with tears at the injustices that the world would do to the innocent who would be only kind and good. You see the mask? Calls it the face of innocence, the mask of innocence. In other words, I didn't do anything wrong. This happened to me. I was only loving and good all the time, but the world is evil, and then it took advantage of me. That's a mask. Whatever says that is a mask that the victim self-concept wears. All right. Isn't this a lovely, light, funny, hilarious topic today? It's so hysterical. Okay. Wow. But so the part of us that just can't understand how this happened to me, and then is wet with tears at what the evil world has done to us who was only loving and kind and good. That's a mask. Okay? The part of you that is not, the part of you that is aware knows that all that I give is given to myself. Whatever I'm experiencing is what I gave. Right? And if I feel like I'm being criticized, if I feel like I'm being taken advantage of, if I feel like I'm being judged, if I feel like I'm being rejected, if I feel like I'm being attacked, that means that's what I've been doing. Doesn't mean I've accomplished anything. It just means that I've been criticizing. I've been rejecting others with judgment. I've been comparing and contrasting. I've been judging. I've been attacking. I've been blah, 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 fill in the blank. Okay? That's what correct perception sees. That's what forgiving perception sees. Okay? All right. Any questions or comments on this really fun, super light, fun, cheery topic?
The
But isn't that the biggest trouble that we have, is actually acknowledging that that's what we're doing? We don't like to do that, I don't think.
Yes, we don't.
No.
Right. Until we've suffered enough.
Uh-huh.
Until we've suffered enough, the feeling of being victimized by an uncaring, unfeeling world.
And then it's like,
And when you've suffered enough like that, you're like, oh, that can't be all there is. And I don't like the way that feels. So until you've suffered enough, and when you've suffered enough, then you'll be like, yeah, okay, well, I guess it makes sense that I've had a lot of people around me who judge me and abuse me and take advantage of me and attack me and abandon me, because that's what I have been doing. Okay, I get it. I see the frickin' connection. Now, the Course in Miracles says that that's the first part of correct perception. The next part is forgiveness. First you take responsibility, and then you forgive. And how do you forgive? You go, you know what? I learned that. I'm innocent because I learned that. I wasn't giving that negativity to the world because I'm a bad person. I was judging and condemning and criticizing and abandoning and rejecting and all that because that's what I learned. That's what I learned. I'm not a bad person. I was just doing what I learned. See the difference? A bad person, a supposedly bad person, a supposedly evil person, you know, is just someone who's just bad to the bone, right? But, you know, someone who learned to be unloving, who learned to judge, who learned to criticize and abandon, we wouldn't call that person evil. We would just say that they learned wrong. They had bad parenting or whatever, right? So, some point when the pain of being the victim is enough, then, and the dissatisfaction of it, you know, we may think that, oh, you know, it feels so good to be the victim, or, you know, it doesn't. It sucks. Right? At some point we go, no, I don't want to pay that price, even if I have to take responsibility for what I'm experiencing. So thank you for saying that. Yes. Do you want to say?
So this, I kind of lost my train of thought here, but it seems to me that it's the belief in and the maintenance of this face of innocence that is allowing me to forget that I did this to myself.
Yes, the face of innocence is the mask that enables me to forget that I was giving the unloving thoughts, that I was giving the rejection, the criticism, the attack. You know, it enables me to forget that and to perceive what's being done to me. Oh, well, look what's happening to me. You know, and to play the victim. What's a victim? Something's happening to me that I did not have any response. I didn't deserve it. You know, and this isn't saying you deserve what's happening to you. It just says you're not a victim. It's not an accident.
So I guess what I'm trying to get to is clarify is that it's my belief in my face of innocence.
Yes.
That is at least part of the mechanism by which the world
Yes.
is sustained.
Yes.
As this learning mechanism for that.
Yes.
And vice versa, that's sustaining my belief in a face of innocence.
Yes.
Because we all do that.
Yes, we all, no victim.
We're supporting each other.
That's right.
Learning that or mislearning.
That's right.
And that then therefore collectively we're all engaged in that mechanism of denying that we're responsible for what we see.
Yes, that's exactly right. The face of innocence, you know, the face of innocence is required for the victim self-concept, the victim belief to actually operate, right? And remember the movie The Mask, where he's like trying to take off the mask, you know, where, Can you see Jim Carrey trying to pull off the mask? You know, the face of innocence is a mask that just that goes with the victim self concept. You know, they go together. You can't have the victim concept without the mask that hides it. Because remember, it was saying the self, the ego's trying to teach you who you are, has two purposes, only one of which you can see. And the purpose that you can see is the face of innocence. That is wet with tears. Okay.
Doesn't it make sense, though, that that's where we are if from the get-go, we're not exploring our happiness or living our happiness?
Yes, exactly,
If we
exactly.
don't, we automatically, why wouldn't we go to victimhoodism?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Look at
Yes.
that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
But,
yes, they absolutely go together.
so it
Right,
makes
Yes.
sense that that would be the next step,
yes,
that we would all be there. And if we're taught that, then why should we look any different? Look at it any differently?
right.
Because we're all doing it.
That's right,
And I think
exactly.
that's what you were just saying. I just had to say it in a different way for
Right.
myself to get rid of it, because now I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah. Yes, they absolutely go together, you know. So the self, the ego is trying to teach us is you are what we make of you. You exist for us. You exist not for yourself. You don't have your own unique sovereign self that that was never born and will never die. You know, the ego wants to teach you that we make you what you are. The world makes you what you are. And what we say you are is a victim. But we're going to put a mask on that, you know, so that you at least can feel good about being a victim,
So a way
says
of
the ego world.
So a way of shedding that would be to go back to what you said, which is to ask yourself, what makes you happy?
Exactly. That's right. Exactly. So instead of being like, look what you're doing to me. Look what this situation is making me feel. Look how this situation or this person is limiting me. Look at how that is making me feel. Look what that is doing to me. Instead of that, we go, who am I and what makes me happy? You know, there's an internal focus instead of an external focus, right? So the teaching of the world says this: don't ever look within to find a self that has nothing to do with anything or a body at all. It never says look within to find a self that is not physical, that's spiritual. It always goes, look outside, see what's going on, see what it's doing to you, and fight against it, and try to compromise with it, or triumph over it, or compete with it, or succumb to it, or surrender to it. You know, so it's always you at odds with and trying to compromise with the external world that wants you to be something that doesn't feel natural to you.
So we believe we're all perfect monsters.
Yes, we do. We believe that we believe that we are the selves that the ego has been trying to teach us that we are. Bad, flawed, something's wrong with you. So in our core, we have these deep feelings of there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with me. We have these deep perceptions. I'm a bad person.
Do you think maybe we do? Because kind of there is. We're not thinking correctly.
We do because we were taught that. The truth is that at our core, we're not bad. There's not something wrong with our essential selves. But we were taught that, you know, when you're being your natural self, there's something wrong with that. Now we're going to punish you. Don't do that again. That means you're a bad person, and God himself is going to send you to hell. You know, that's what we learned. We learned that our core self is evil. There's something wrong with it. We need to become more like we're told we should be, right? So even when we get away from that learning of the world, we notice that learning is still deep down in there, you know. It takes a while to unlearn that very ancient learning.
So we're always trying to do good because we feel so bad.
We're always trying to do good because we feel so bad. That's exactly right. Well said. Absolutely. I'm trying to be a good person. I'm trying to be a good person. I give to this homeless person, and then I give to this charity, and then I give to that, and I've sacrificed my happiness for this person, and I've sacrificed my happiness for this relationship, and I've sacrificed my good years for this, and I've sacrificed for that, and I've sacrificed that. I'm trying to be a good person. I'm trying to be a good person. I've sacrificed my happiness here. I've sacrificed my joy here. I've sacrificed my body here. I've sacrificed over here for this person. I've sacrificed over here for that. I'm trying to do good because I feel so bad about myself. But so it's not that I am bad, it's just that I just learned that I'm bad. Exactly. Until I came upon A Course in Miracles, who said something crazy radical like, there's nothing wrong with you. What? Who said, your nature is guiltlessness, pure sinlessness, pure lovableness. I'm like, I don't know about that. Right? That's what's challenging about A Course in Miracles. It is telling us the truth about ourselves that is the absolute 100% opposite of what we learned about ourselves and what our parents learned and their parents learned and their parents learned and their parents learned all the way back. Okay? So that learning goes a long way back, right? And so, you know, that's what's challenging about A Course in Miracles, but it's also what is 100% liberating in the ultimate sense about what A Course in Miracles teaches us. Okay? The Course in Miracles is a teaching that is 100% opposite to the teaching of the world. So where the world teaches you you're a victim of the world and you're entitled to your grievances and you're entitled to your suffering and your grievances and your anger, you're a victim and you're entitled to your anger. Whereas the world teaches us that, A Course in Miracles says that you are 100% powerful. You are as powerful as your creator. You were created as a powerful creator. Your thoughts have power. Your thoughts create your experience. Your thoughts have megaton wattage of power. Okay? So the opposite of victim consciousness, the opposite of the victim belief system is I am responsible for my experience. Everything I experience, I chose, I asked for. All the feelings, everything. So you got the victim consciousness, which produces only misery, and then you've got the fact, I am responsible for what I experience, which releases the full power of your mind and produces true happiness. Because once you realize that you are powerful for real, then you will be like, and what do I want to experience? What makes me happy, right? That's what you'll be doing once you recognize the truth about your own power. All right. So it's 8:30. Wow. Amazing. I just looked down and it was 8:30. Okay. Well, so to me that felt like 5 minutes. I don't know about for you. That might have felt like 3 hours for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to do announcements and then just a few minutes of an integration meditation. So, announcements are, I do 2 live streams each week. On Wednesdays, I do a Course in Miracles, the complete and annotated edition. The latest edition of A Course in Miracles, I do that every Wednesday from 7 to 8:30 p.m. And Monday here at the Miracle Center, live and in person from 7 to 8:30 p.m., where we do Miracle Roulette typically. Maybe next session I'll keep going with this section since it's really super deep and powerful. Matt, I get the thumbs up from Matt, so okay, we'll go with that. And also I'm a holistic psychotherapist, and I have a psychotherapeutic niche called Miracle Psychotherapeutics, where I provide psychotherapy but for Course in Miracles students who want some support while they go through something, but they want it from a Course in Miracles perspective. So I'm available for that, Skype or in person or by phone. And the best way to find me is to go to my website, annakujawa.com, go to the last page of my website and find my phone number and text me. That's the best way to reach me. Texting. Texting. Okay. So that's the announcements. And now we're going to do the integration meditation. So we're going to take about 2 to 5 minutes, and we're just going to use the ideas. Do you guys love you guys? It's wonderful to see you. All right. So, wonderful. And thank you, Deborah, for watching. Awesome. All right. Here we go.